Greetings to y'all. In the name of the Most High Jah, Rastafari, and His Son Jesus Christ, Yahshua Messiah. So, I found this just browsing on YouTube, and this message goes out to all those who are victims of adulterers and the casual sex world, whether it includes prostitution or just general casual sex or so-called domestic work. For people who say they are quote-unquote spiritual, not religious, but they are acting in this promiscuous casual sex way, whether they're paid for it or not, they're ignorant of the fact that there is a lot more going on when you have casual sex. And this video, I've only watched the first quarter of it, and I decided I wanted to share it with y'all. So in this video, it explains the spiritual apparatuses and ongoings in the astral and metaphysical realm of what happens when you participate in casual sex, adultery, or whatever sort of promiscuity, paid for or not. And so this is also a direct warning to Catherine, Leah, Anna, Inlow, Rudderham, also known as Katie Minichin, also known as Katie Teffer, which is my last name, also known as Kate Kohler, also known as Kate Williams, Katie Lee, Lala, Leanne, Leanna, and various other names. Katie Lee 99, Sunny Renovation, Notice to You Too. This is what you're doing to yourself, and this is why demons are allowed to possess you. And this is why a demon followed you to marry me, to get to me. You're being used to destroy people and yourself. And this is the spiritual proof of such matters. This is why you do not want to have sex or marry someone who is involved with this. And Yahshua Messiah made it very clear that if your body is the temple, you do not want to join your body to a whore. Right? Because if it's the temple of the Most High, why would you join it to a whore? So there's a lot deeper. That's why there's so many laws in the Bible about sex. There's a lot deeper things going on here. It's not just, fucking, for lack of better words. And this is why it's important to be married and stay married, and to love your wife, and husbands and wives love your husbands, and appreciate them and be grateful for them, and be honest and true to them. Because when you aren't, it destroys the other person, especially if they're not a narcissist. I was getting so depressed because of my marriage, and I would go to God in prayer every night. What's wrong with me? I don't want to make love with my wife. Why is she so mean to me? Why does she hate me? And she had been cheating on me from the beginning of our marriage. So as you can imagine, that was stirring up things in me that I couldn't understand and not even know about, because I had no clue what was going on. I was at the point where I was about ready to just give up and start doing drugs and just quit my entire fucking belief system, because it was killing me. Whatever was going on that I didn't know about was killing me. Okay? And I was anxious all the time. It's because I was being cheated on. My flower was being given out to somebody else. And then I would go back and get with that flower, and then see the webs, the spiritual metaphysical webs, start to solidify. So that's what this video is about, y'all. Very important information. Before I push play, for those who are Bible-believing Rastafari and Christian, I do not automatically endorse everything that is said here, because it's sort of from a metaphysical New Age perspective. But some of the metaphysical things that New Agers talk about are real things. So it's just not, as Bible-believing folk, it's not our business to mess with these things, because it is obviously going to be handled better by the Holy Spirit than us. So we do not endorse as Rastafari and Christian. We do not endorse any sort of witchcraft, esoteric or transcendental meditations, or anything like that. We endorse the Holy Spirit given visions and supernatural phenomena, because there's too many deceptive spirits, fallen angels, and the like out there who can deceive and ruin your life because of following in the paths like that, the Payaka way. Everything that Jah's law says not to do, we should not do it. Alright, now I'm going to push play.
Presents the teachings of Master Dhananjay, who has gathered knowledge from various scriptures and books on his journey to enlightenment and liberation. In a world where promiscuity, one-night stands, and having multiple partners are normalized, Master Dhananjay explains the destructive effects of such behavior and its impact on the majority of people in our modern society. Join us in this video to understand the degenerative nature of participating in multiple and casual sexual encounters, and how such behavior can impact our future marriages and families. We assure you that watching this will encourage you to think twice before engaging with a random stranger whom you do not genuinely love and wish to marry. Whenever a man and woman indulge in sexual intercourse, the astral bodies, also called subtle body or mind body, of the man and woman merge together, and forces get created in the cosmos that are fully conducive for the birth of a new child. The connection thus formed between man and woman during intercourse produces an astral umbilical cord-like tube in the...
Bingo. And that's why people who are not already cauterized by their own sin and by licentious living, right, feel that hurt. And it tends to be that narcissists are the ones that are cauterized, right? And I got New World Order to Fire pregnant, and had she had that baby and not had a miscarriage 3.5 some months in, if we had that baby and I found out what she was afterwards, can you guys imagine how that would have made me feel? Just thinking about it makes me want to hurl. It's our natural, innate position and place and purpose to have that nuclear family. And why do you think the enemy has tackled sexuality in the way that he has? From everything to biochemical disruptions and interruptions that cause us to flow in our normal natural sexual state, to hypersexualization, the dissolving of the desire for children and having family. And promiscuity is at an all-time high. Marriage is at an all-time low. There are probably the highest number of prostitutes and or content creators that are selling their bodies in one form or another than there has ever been. There is more adultery in the earth than there has ever been. I guarantee it.
Our astral plane world. The appearance of this astral tube is somewhat cloud-like in color, about 6 inches in diameter, and can be clearly seen when the astral body of the person concerned is viewed by deep meditation. The tube gets thicker, stronger and denser with every repeat act of sexual intercourse. So why did God create the astral tube? The primary purpose of this tube is to foster authentic sentiments of trust, genuine love, affection, understanding, sacrifice, and bonding between a legally married husband and wife, even if they were strangers before marriage. These astral...
Now I'll say that the statement legally married is irrelevant, okay? Because it's technically to be lawfully / legally married in all truth and reality. You do not need permission from Babylon's system, nor do you need to pay them for the certificate. You write up your own contract and or have an oral contract with your spouse. It's probably best to write it out, but if you don't have to write it out, I mean, you make the contract with her, it's binding. Or with him or whatever, So, just saying that it doesn't have to be legally in the state sense, right? But it can't just be girlfriend, boyfriend it needs to be a lawful, union, as in you agreed to be faithful to one another in health and in sickness, no matter what.
Tubes serve as conduits through which two individuals, previously unfamiliar with each other, develop the inclination to stand by one another, remain loyal, and provide support in times of need. In essence, this astral channel serves as the medium through which a couple shares thoughts, ideas, feelings, and engages in astral-level communication. It facilitates the transmission of genuine and unconditional love, a vital component of the relationship between a husband and wife. The astral tube acts as a conduit for all the essential elements required for a couple to remain together and build a healthy, happy family unit.
So I guess there's going to be ads, so don't worry, I'm right here. I'll be skipping them for you. I'm not trying to jack this person's video, but I got 27 subs now, not even 28, because somebody that's a vegan left, because I eat meat. So, to the content creator, I will be posting a link in the description, and I probably won't even be able to finish your video, so I'll make sure people go watch it.
Vision is actually possible to become addicted to a life you don't even like. And the reason why is that problems evoke emotional responses. And
hell, that might be interesting. But I will put the link to this video in the description. Please go give the channel a view. It's just really important to me to play this and talk about it.
When an individual engages in multiple affairs, involving casual sexual relationships with various partners, numerous astral tubes form, connecting a large population through astral matter. Unbeknownst to them, as they move from one partner to another, their astral body, observable through meditation, reveals a network of astral tubes extending to numerous individuals. Contrary to the original purpose of astral tubes, which aim to foster a strong marital bond and family unit, individuals with multiple sex partners typically lack the intention to settle down with any one person. Their pursuit revolves solely around momentary sexual gratification, devoid of deeper commitment. Moreover, such relationships often stem from selfish and malevolent motives, including manipulation, conquest, lust, and a use and throw attitude.
Use and throw attitude? Did you hear that? Use and throw? That's damn straight. That's exactly what just happened to me. I got used for 5 years and thrown away. When I started to figure out something wasn't right, and it started to come up on the, topsoil of my consciousness, I knew it the whole time, but it started to become more and more present in my full consciousness. And when I started to challenge it, she's out of here. I paid for everything for 4.5 years, and she's selling her body, making money, and we're struggling. And she doesn't even try to lie and say, I got this money from somebody else, a family member. She didn't even try to do that so that we would have, more of what we needed. I was working myself to death. So think about the cord it was talking about a minute ago. The more you mate with your spouse, the stronger this cord binds together and hardens and becomes, or maybe not hardens, but becomes more solidified and real. And by the way, just for the record, I can see all this stuff and have since I was a kid. I don't even have to try. And it's not something I practice. It's just something that's always been there. I can see everybody's aura. I can see every atom if I want to. Every energy, electromagnet, whatever they want to call it. I can see it. So I know this shit's real personally. I don't do any witchcraft or meditation to see it. I was gifted with the gift to be able to see it, okay? Since I was a child. And I even asked my father one time, I can see, or maybe I didn't ask him, I told him, I was like, I can see atoms, all the time. I can see him, and he would just be like, oh, no, you can't see them. I'm like, no, I can see them. So this stuff is real, y'all. But about that cord, think about how my marriage went, and you guys have pretty much the general full testimony of it if you have listened for the last few months. how did that go? It's like, if she has been cheating on me with my good friends, my bosses, my coworkers, random strangers, all around me all the time, while I'm devoting my life to her, very literally, like my actual physical life is being spent working to pay for us, you know, and to try to get a way to build a life for us. Like, my goal was to somehow find a place of our own, have children, and raise animals and crops. And that's what I was working towards. And if I had been more wealthy, anything she asked, I would have gotten it for her, you know, whether she worked for it or not. That's what I was trying to, and I'm trying to build that cord, right? And all the while struggling with my libido and not knowing what's going on as an empath, feeling that issue, and it never has been an issue for me before. And all the while she is doing things with all these other people behind my back, and that is destroying the cords of our marriage. And I have no clue what's going on, no consent to it, nothing. And I'm just wandering in the wilderness with this woman. What is happening? Like, why can't she be nice to me? Why can't we get along? Like, what? I don't understand this. Like, it's just so confusing. I would just be praying every day, like, God, what the fuck is this? Like, I'll be with her until I'm dead if you want me to, but I just don't understand why we can't have joy. What's wrong with her? Like, what is going on, you know? And that's what was going on. You know, this cord is being mangled and interloped with everything else that she is doing with other people. So, if you can imagine a super heightened spiritual person, I don't mean heightened like I'm higher than anybody else. I mean like I have a great sensitivity to spiritual things. And can you imagine when I found that out, what that felt like? You know what I mean? Like, and for the record, I'm still working on all this. I'm not backing out of exposing it or going to court to go after this and everything. It's just a lot of work, and there's a lot to it, and it's going to take me quite some time to do it all. Plus, it's very painful, so I can only do small amounts at a time because I'm at the point where I'm extremely angry. I'm just angry about it. I'm bitter, but not like letting bitterness take root. It's more like a righteous indignation or something. But so you guys have to pay attention to the subtle energies around you. If you have the sensation, I'm not talking about nonsensical, irrational jealousy. I'm saying if you feel something, say something. If you feel something that's going on in your marriage or relationship or your daughters or your sons, say something, okay? And say it with tact. Oh, I guess it ain't playing.
In the overwhelming majority of cases, people engaging in such behavior lack even a shred of regard, respect, concern, or understanding for each other. Their actions are primarily driven by intense passion and lust, with a notable absence of recognizing each other as individuals. Instead, they view one another solely as objects of sex. Once their self-serving desires are fulfilled,
and that's how I felt. I was being looked at, you know, it's so strange because she wanted us to do it a lot, but it just wasn't happening. And that's why, it's one of the reasons why. And the other thing is like, I felt that genuineness in my heart, but I didn't receive it back. I guess I kind of lost train of what I was going to say, but I'll just keep playing it because my thoughts get to rolling real quick on these statements.
They move on to another person, potentially causing harm and emotional wreckage to the other party at mental, emotional, and psychic levels. This cycle sets off a powerful karmic reaction in the cosmos. The individual who feels hurt and wronged may have been given assurances of marriage or a committed relationship, fostering expectations at deep emotional and psychic levels. When hopes and dreams are shattered by a betrayal leading to a breakup, the emotions that were once positive, hopes, affections, and feelings, transform into a dense mass of jealousy, bitterness, revenge, and hatred. The astral tube initially formed between the two individuals, which persists in strength, now becomes a conduit for the exchange of these negative energies. This dynamic gives rise to worry, fear, emotional instability, and a lack of peace of mind for both parties involved.
So yeah, like, and they're kind of saying it from both parties' perspectives, but like, you know, we're talking about somebody who's ignorant, which is the victim of this witchcraft, basically, which would be, in this case, would have been me, of what was going on, you know. So you're doing everything you can, and you're crying to God every night, why can't we make love? Because, okay, marriage is not all about sex, but if in your marriage there is not that sexual fire between the two, but it's like she wants it from me, but I don't feel it towards her, even though I think she's smoking hot. It's time to see the red flag, and I didn't see it. I thought something was wrong with my physical health. And I'd be like, I need to get some ginseng, or I need to do that. And we were poor, and we just didn't have money to get a bunch of testosterone shit for me, because I'm almost 40. Maybe that I thought something was wrong with me. I said that to her a lot. I was like, I don't know, you know. And the whole time, that cord's getting tore up, because she's cheating. Have y'all ever been through that? That shit sucks, man. Because at first, before you know better, you're thinking, man, I wish I would have made love to her. Maybe that's why she left, because I wouldn't make enough love to her. And it's like, no. Once you figure it out, you're like, oh my God. And by the way, y'all, I was just doing some research into this whole thing earlier, into her, and I'm always coming across new shit. Like, there is so much to document. And I get the impression that she thinks that I was cheating on her and doing drugs with the people I was cheating on her with. That's the rumor and lies that were put out to her people to make it look normal that she was ready to leave, and then she threw me slapping her and on top of it. Which, for the record, for those who don't know, I was doing that in self-defense. I had been beaten, elbowed while I'm in the middle of sleeping. You name it, every kind of physical abuse that I could go through as a man and take as much as I can. So, and mind you, this woman is fucking all my friends, all my bosses, all my coworkers, and I have no clue. Okay, this is super psychological abuse, narcissistic madness. Okay, with a woman who lives a completely separate life. She lied to me about her age. She lied to me about her entire life. She had identification from Canada that actually had false information on it. I'm finding out information. There's like so much to do with this company Bell, I feel like, and she even said that a agent from Bell, the telecommunications industry company, came from Canada to America and followed her and was at the hospital I took her to and was spying on her or something. Like, we're talking like there is so much crazy stuff. So my case is supernatural on this other crazy level. But that being said, all this basic life stuff still applies. Like, your cheating spouse might not be an intelligent asset sent to destroy your life by Illuminati powers, but it's still, in the sense, it's very the same, because demonic power is in connection with all of this hypersexualization. So it's really foolish to be arrogant and think the world is revolving around you. But it's equally as foolish to think you're of so little significance that spiritual forces don't care to backle over your soul and over your behavior. Because we are the center of creation, and mankind is precious to Yahweh. So it's just like that happy medium, just like I'm always saying, like, the world doesn't revolve around you, but if you're a very spiritual, in tune with Christ person, and you believe in being a warrior for truth and righteousness, and hate the New World Order dragon system with all your heart, and hate wickedness with all your heart, then if you think for 1 minute that they're not going to send something, someone, or something to break you down so that you do not progress into that, because the last thing that the New World Order wants is people with integrity, honor, and righteousness and the love of Christ and the old world flavor walking around talking and teaching and interacting, especially with the youth. Okay, don't doubt it for 1 minute. Just think about what just happened to me. 4.5 years of absolute fucking trauma and hell, trying to navigate this as a sound-minded man. And you can only take so much. You know, it's so confusing for me because I think back and I'm like, I wish I've been angry so many times, and I wish I would have been 100% sweet to her all the time, no matter how she was acting and treating me. But then that would be enabling her to do that. At the same time, it didn't really fucking matter because she'd be cheating and dishonoring me from the whole fucking beginning. So it's like a hard thing to beat out in your head, to level out, like, where do you stand in your worth and your value and in your spiritual rightness in the marriage. Like, was I spiritually right even when I failed at the end, when I fell apart and I got so depressed because of how she had been treating me and how it was going nowhere, and it was like my life was cursed. And it's because it was cursed, because a demon came with her. But like, you get to that point and you start to lose your faith. I started thinking, God didn't give me this woman. This is fucking crazy, you know? Like, her actions in the beginning of our marriage is what brought the demon allowed to be in my house. It's what begun the destruction of our brand new marriage. And I had to endure that all in vain for 4.5 years. It's not like there was a grand purpose to it, like turn the page and go on. It's not like that. It was a robbery of my time and my life and my well-being and my health and my libido and my finances, everything. It isn't like a normal breakup, okay? So this topic is going to be a normal, regular part of this channel, because I think it's happening on a wider scale than we realize. And the more I look into it, the more I see how rampant this spiritual wickedness is. It could be very well affecting your life directly right now, and you have no clue. And I'm not asking you to be paranoid about it. I'm just asking you to open your eyes just in case.
Person who is engaged in multiple sexual relationships forms as many astral tubes with each of their ex-partners. Each of these astral tubes persists for a minimum of 12 years from the time of the last sexual encounter, unless there is a repeat encounter, and can potentially last a lifetime, or span multiple births depending on its density and thickness. Even if someone recognizes their mistake and adopts a disciplined practice of brahmacharya, leading a virtuous life while consistently praying to God, it would still require a minimum of 12 years for each astral tube to disintegrate, starting from the date of the last sexual encounter.
So, that being said, that's some stuff that, I don't necessarily agree with, okay? Because, first of all, the Most High is Yahweh, Jah, RASTAFARI, and his son Yahshua Messiah, and through him all things are possible, and Yahshua Messiah, in Jesus Christ's name, all those tubes have been removed from me, and I am supernaturally released from them, and so are you who have been victimized by this kind of circumstance, whether without your consent or your knowledge as well. So that's just a little note there. Our God is bigger than that, and if he wants that tube to be removed, it will be removed.
It is further to the presence of this astral tube that telepathic messages, vibrations, and longings get communicated with former partners, even if a person has ceased to have all contact. If one of the ex-partner were to intensely long for the subject concerned from one part of the world, the other party gets a feeling of recollection and reliving of past thoughts and actions, and may be even tempted to revert for another sexual encounter, even many years after termination of the relationship. Such is the result and power of communication accruing through formation of the astral tube. While it may appear that the people concerned have forgotten each other and moved on, they are in reality very much connected by the astral tube. A serious and very strong consequence of much gravity has occurred without their own knowledge while playing around with the opposite sex with dishonorable intentions.
Oh yeah. Yep. See, they're going to play an ad, but let me wait for it to play, I guess. And then I'll say what I was going to say.
Pay close attention to this. Energy flows to where attention goes. If you are focusing on failure, lack, limitations, and scarcity, then that's where your energy...
So yeah, this woman comes, and she's already been a prostitute. I'm about talking about her coming to me to marry me, right? She'd already been a prostitute this entire time. She has already been cheating with every partner, to the best of my knowledge, from way back, okay? And she's coming, and immediately she's wanting to make love right off the bat. And it's like there is a demon pushing this to get these tubes connected to me, okay? And how can you, I don't know if normal people get with somebody to marry them and then cheat on them within the first few months of being together. Like, that's just, I mean, it's orchestrated. This was done on purpose. And for those who continue to disbelieve that that's the fact, you just don't have eyes to see and ears to hear, and you don't want to know the truth because you don't want to think that this could actually be real and has something that happens to anybody. Because it does lots of weird, crazy shit that I haven't even talked about on here that happened before, during, and after this whole experience. Okay. So you need, in this world, unfortunately, if you are single and you are looking for a spouse to marry, you need to double, triple, quadruple check everything. Okay. Without scaring them away.
The existence of numerous astral tubes with multiple ex-partners ultimately leads to significant turmoil and problems for both individuals, affecting them at various levels and often culminating in what many perceive as bad luck. This condition envelops the soul or Atman in thick layers of delusion and
right, there's like being cursed. Like after 3 years of this shit, I'm just like, what the fuck? It's like God wants me to die. It's like he hates me now. You know, that's like where you start to feel like, and you know that shit's not true. I mean, you know the devil is just attacking, but having it be the source of it, be your actual lover and wife, that is supposed to be the one you trust more than anybody, that is a fucking head job, bruh.
The negative vibrations generated by such actions persist in the cosmos for an extended period. Even if the involved sexual encounters were consensual, the presence of these astral tubes hinders the establishment of a loving and strong relationship with the person one eventually marries and settles down with. These astral tubes remain active, akin to a live cell phone connection, and interfere with the factors essential for a robust husband-wife relationship. As a consequence, they can contribute to the destruction of the resulting family unit. For this reason, those who indulge in playing around with multiple partners pay a heavy price for their thoughtless acts in the form of sheer misery ultimately.
That's a fact.
The force known as Kundalini, which represents the cumulative sum of all prana, or vital energy within, serves as the wellspring of life, energy, greatness, and power within an individual. This power is directly influenced by the
Alright, hold up here. The only power is dwelling in my chakras is the Most High, Yahweh, and His Holy Spirit, the Holy Breath. I'm not having a serpent tangle up my spine to engulf all my chakras. Okay, it's just not happening. So, just a heads up, that's not what you want. Just like everything else, there's an inversion mirror picture image. So, Yahweh, through His Son, says we are the temple, right? And it says in the scriptures, I think in the book of Zechariah, or Zephaniah, or the book of Revelation, or all three, I'm not quite sure, I have to check that out, but there's a sevenfold spirit of Yahweh. Sevenfold spirit of Yahweh dwells in the seven centers in the spine, you know, the house of Yahweh, right? There you go. So that's what you want to dwell. I'm not saying the chakras aren't real. I'm saying that they are real, but it's none of your business, basically. And to know that this Kundalini is a serpent, and to voluntarily allow it in at your root, the base of your spine, which happens to be among your sexual organs, which is interesting, right? That's where Satan has seemed to flip the world upside down first, is to do with sexuality, it seems. You know, so that's interesting, to say the least. So you don't want the Kundalini snake dwelling in you. For the record, I'm not endorsing that. And you only want the holy breath of Yahweh. And you don't need to measure and balance and do all that stuff to your chakras, because the Holy Spirit will take care of it for you. You just got to eat healthy, do right, do good. Okay? Love Him, praise Him. Don't be lazy. You be good.
Version of sexual essence, and conversely, this force disperses through sexual activity. During the 12 to 14 years of childhood, nature maintains the dormancy of sexual essence externally and confines its activity internally. This intentional restriction aids in achieving the complete growth of the child's body, brain, mind, and intellect. Consequently, maturity or puberty initiates during adolescence and not in childhood. Upon experiencing their first sexual encounter, a previously virgin man or woman undergoes heightened sexual awareness that becomes directed towards the external world. This heightened awareness makes the individual more receptive to the forces of desire. Through sexual intercourse, a psychic astral tube, as previously discussed, is established between the Muladhara chakras of the two individuals involved. When this force is harnessed within the framework of marriage, sanctioned by blessings from the higher astral realms or gods, rays akin to the astral tube manifest between each member of the couple and astral entities like devas or gods, facilitated through the higher chakras. This establishes a sacred and divine state of matrimony. The fundamental purposes of such a marriage are the procreation of offspring, companionship, and ultimately self-realization.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the truth is the truth, right? And I've been saying this for years. It's too bad that they don't realize that we're talking about the Most High here, and they're talking about everything else and say whatever. It's just copycat from the scriptures anyway. I mean, the nuclear family unit is the name of Yahweh. It is, it's not to say that the nuclear family unit in the human form is Yahweh. It's His dwelling place, though. And His name alludes to that clearly, that it's male, female, male, female. The equilibrium in all creation, which is Jah's name, is that essentially. The male and the female had the child, okay? You got 10, 5, 6, 5. So the child had a wife too. So 10, 5, 6, 5. Okay, male, female, male, female. The yod, hey, wow, hey, right? And if the son of man is a man and the number of man is 666, then, and carbon is 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, that's why, yeah, Yeshua would be, 6 too. That's why the anti-Messiah, so I'm putting it all together. That's why the anti-Christos, the anti-Messiah, right? Which we've discussed here before. Anti means to come instead of, to pretend to be, right? Can see what I'm saying? It's not what people have taught you about the Antichrist. He's coming to pretend to be. So he's got Yahshua's number. He's got his position in place in what he's going to present as the name. You see what I'm saying? The Yod, hey, wow, hey. The wow is the Son, S-O-N, right? Okay? So, that's how God wants it to be, right? And we don't want to bow to the false come instead of Christ, the fraud who has orchestrated this whole world stage as it is right now and created this super hypersexual, lustful based culture, right? And economy, right? It has its own economy. Sexuality has its own economy. Billions and probably trillions of dollars. Okay, so if you think the enemy has not deliberately created this hypersexualized culture on purpose, by design, then you don't have eyes to see, because it didn't used to be this way. It didn't used to be this way at all. Okay.
Scriptural sources state, when a young virgin man and virgin woman marry and indulge in the sexual act with each other, their union is very strong and their marriage stable. Their astral tubes or nadis grow together and they form a one body and a one mind. This is the truest marriage and the strongest, seldom ending in separation or divorce. Conversely, if the man or woman has had intercourse before marriage, the emotional, psychic closeness of the marriage will be less intense, and this will be in proportion to the extent of earlier promiscuity. These higher astral connections with astral entities and lower astral psychic tubes that are created between husband and wife are designed to handle the forces that exist in healthy matrimony. The tube is the basis on which healthy familial relations develop between man and wife and help them settle together. Further to parenting children, the couple can get into a lifelong mode of brahmacharya and attain self-realization.
I'm already realized. I realize who I am. See what I'm saying? I am realized. I don't need to do all that.
If you've been in a car accident,
I don't need to do all that to get realized. I know I am. But I'm not. I'm just being silly. I'm just being a smart ass. So don't take no offense. I didn't say I was perfect. Realize the most important thing is living a holy life. You don't have to. That's the other thing about so-called Eastern mysticism, which is really, it's a whole ball game in and of itself. Why the hippie movement was created, to push the New Age doctrine of everything's everything kind of mentality. That shit is a whole nother ball game for another video. But I just like to say that because I know a lot of people who are watching this are going to be like, I can't believe he's playing this shit. And there's still truth in it, though, okay? I'm not saying start picking up, the Indian, not just India, but like, there's the whole 1,000 years, right? Well, India used to be Christian. They were changed into this stuff, okay? And that's why there's a lot of them temples left over there that are all snaky and dragony, okay? Josh says only worship him. There's only one true Most High. All the other ones ain't shit. They're fallen angels, and I mean, not that the angels ain't shit, because they is, but they ain't no shit compared to Jah. Okay? There's only one Most High. But having a holy marriage and in and of Christ and for Christ, it's more than just raising the children. You got to think about what time we are in. It's most important. It's always been the most important. It's the first commandment is to have children. But what is so important about having children right now? Because they don't want us to have children, number one. They're lowering the population. That's in the mundane physical world. That's what they're doing. Poisoning, maiming everybody, okay? And then, on top of that, the main reason is because they don't want you to teach the children the truth. It's none of our business to figure out all this super esoteric crazy stuff. It's okay to have some understanding of it and know what's going on in the metaphysical realm, but we're more like hobbits in a sense. We're on the creation. We're in real life. We're supposed to grow food, eat food, have babies, and enjoy life. But in the time we're in, that is at stake. Our actual freedom to enjoy creation and live off of creation itself is what is at stake. International morality is what is at stake. So us having children and staying married and being in a faithful, real marriage that's sincere and authentic in every way is one of the greatest weapons of our time. Okay, if not the greatest weapon. Our voice may be number two, speaking out. Okay, in a marriage that speaks out for truth and righteousness is, especially with children too, who are going to continue doing so in the name of the Most High, is ultimately devastating to the New World Order dragon system. And that's the importance of all this. That's why this is so vital, and I'm so passionate about it and have been for years. But when this shit happened to me, it made me worry that what if every woman is involved in this kind of sin in one way or another, and they're just pretending like they ain't. And I'm not talking about well, I don't need to get into details, but just like, you see what I'm saying? Like, how many women are left when it says in the book of Proverbs that a good wife is like more precious than rubies or whatever it says, and gold or whatever, and all the things she does that makes her a righteous wife. She wakes up early and takes care of everybody, and she's good at business, and her husband never has to worry about anything. Not that the husband doesn't do work and do his stuff too, because he does, but that he doesn't have to trip about his wife. His wife ain't going to deliver him to no beast contest, as Von Benjamin say. If that was rare, that kind of woman was rare in that time, can you imagine how rare that kind of woman is today? And it goes the same for men. It's not like men are excluded from this whole judgment in this thing. Men are just as guilty. But I have to speak from a man's perspective because I am a man. So I'm just saying, from my perspective, it seems like more and more all the women are just like this slut kind of culture is just what is accepted and praised, basically.
During sexual intercourse establishes, through the first chakra or the Muladhara chakra, the connecting psychic astral tube, which can be clearly seen on the astral plane during deep meditation. It is through this psychic tube that feelings, telepathic messages, and subtle modes of communication pass between the married couple. It is by the presence of this astral tube that we see abundant bonding, sacrifice, and unconditional love between couples whose love is beyond the body and external factors. Many of these couples can exhibit knowledge on what the other person is thinking or can sense if something is wrong with the other, even if they are far away from one another. When a man and a woman engage in milder forms of sexual expression, such as a touch or hug, a temporary connecting link of astral matter is established. This link penetrates their auras and envelops their physical forms, appearing as a psychic mass connecting them as wide as the length of their bodies. This astral matter is generated through the release of emotional energies merging their auras. The resulting psychic connection is potent enough to repeatedly draw them back together, or induce emotional distress upon separation. However, unlike the astral tube, formed through intercourse, this milder astral matter typically dissipates within a few days or at most a month, unless the encounter is repeated. The scriptures state that each one of us is born in a state of brahmacharya. Upon reaching puberty, those boys and girls who remain virgins maintain their inherent state of brahmacharya. They are able to ward off, and may not even notice, many emotional and sexual temptations that would be troublesome to the non-virgin. This is because the astral shield surrounding the virgin's aura has never been penetrated. Reading a book about worldly experiences only pickles their curiosity, whereas had they established psychic, tubular connections with a member of the opposite sex as described earlier, the very same reading would stir up sexual desire at a much more intense level. Such virgins who are into brahmacharya since puberty can easily continue a life of celibacy and attain self-realization further to marriage and parenthood. Sexual intercourse between the virgin man and woman before and outside marriage.
Essentially, what I was just getting from that when I showed the kid with the magazine or whatever, is that desensitization through pornography is also a big problem. I'm not saying I've never looked at it myself. I'm definitely guilty of looking at it. I was born in America, okay? But like, every time I did, I felt gross, like something was wrong, you know? And people pretend like that's not real and like they can't sense that themselves. And it's because there is. It's not the way John intended things to be. And it is a shame that all of us have to be born in a world where that even comes to be a temptation in our life, or even an option, something that even comes to mind at all. It's not something that anybody should be subjected to, or even it shouldn't exist naturally. But we have these dragon serpent cult rulers, which ain't my ruler. You see what I'm saying? But they have created this all. It doesn't mean there wasn't sexual sin. Satan is the originator of all this, of course. But it doesn't mean it hasn't been happening for a long time. But you cannot deny the concentration and the levels of it in this time. Even cultures that have traditionally hung on to the old world values involving sex, to this day, almost, but have already fallen. Okay, so all the old world has been removed out of the world we know as far as sexuality is concerned. There is only a handful of people that I'm convinced of that actually, as far as, and I don't mean people I know, I mean in the entire world, I guarantee you there's only a couple handfuls of people at most. And I don't mean 12 people literally or anything. I just mean, excuse me, sorry about that. I just mean literally there is not very many people left who believe in what I'm talking about here. The whole world has been engulfed by this bullshit.
Is the key that destroys this brahmacharya. Also, all other forms of sense stimulation, either via sight, smell, taste, touch, or sound, that fire up the sex plane lead man to the domain of self-stimulation and finally actual intercourse. It is for this reason that a brahmachari is advised to avoid anything and everything which might fire up the sex plane within him. As discussed earlier, intercourse causes an astral umbilical-like psychic tube to form in the inner ether between the couple. It is within this psychic tube that the forces of energy and desire flow from one to another. These are the same forces between mother and father which culminate in the birth of a child, and surround and protect him or her through earthly consciousness until age 25. The psychic connection between the mother and father emotionally stabilizes children in the family. But if there are other astral tubes present, either in the mother or the father, further to premarital encounters, or new ones being created with members of the opposite sex due to ongoing extramarital encounters outside of the marriage, children suffer emotionally while growing up. The forces and vibrations resulting from the presence of other tubes in either father or mother.
Think about this. If we had our baby and then stayed married and I stayed ignorant to the fact of what was going on, because I'm almost certain if we had our baby, somebody would have said, okay, they had a baby. Because what if her family didn't really want to help us because they knew what she was? Okay, at least had some kind of general idea of it. And like I said before, her mother was friends with a KGB agent, just for the record. Okay, there's lots of other things like that I gotta tell y'all. But let's say we had this baby. Her family might have been like, oh, she had a baby with this guy. Maybe she's actually for real not one of those hookers anymore. We'll get him set up. Since he's a hard-working, good man, let's get him set up so they can have a successful family. I'm pretty sure that would have happened. That was not my goal with it, of course. That's just something I've just been thinking about recently. Now, had that would have happened, and we had a place, and we raised our baby together, we had, maybe we would have a good marriage because of that. I don't know. But she would continue, after she healed from pregnancy, she would probably continue on doing what she had been doing, unless the baby somehow supernaturally changed her. But she had a miscarriage, and I almost think the miscarriage was because of some 5G tower that was close by where we were sleeping. Or it could have been Jah stopping it from happening, or something else. I don't know. But it didn't happen. She had a miscarriage, and it was a bad one. And I'm just saying, like, what if I had had this baby with her, and she's all, maybe she took a year to get out of her ecstatic motherly family vibe she had from having that baby, and she's right back at doing what she'd been doing, and then we're raising our child while she's a prostitute behind my back. Think about what that could have done to our child. Because we, ideally, if she is who she said she was to me, we could have raised the most badass kids in the world. I'm not joking you. They'd know how to shoot guns. They'd know how to sift for gold. They'd be stacking gold and silver. They'd know how to grow weed. They'd know how to grow food. They'd be all about growing chickens and ducks and cattle if they could. They'd be like a Rasta hillbilly, you know what I mean? Like American style. So it would have been beautiful. That's what I was thinking. It was going to be amazing. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's not what was real. It was like raising that child would have been a disaster. And I wish I had a child, but not like that. Not like that. He's in heaven, or she's in heaven. I feel like it's a boy, though. So that's where I think babies go, right off the bat. Soul goes back home. Anyways.
Have a strong tendency to cause unrest, fear, and confusion in the child. It is for this reason that all religions in the true form ordain man and woman to lead a virtuous life high on morality, backed by celibacy and abstain from any mode of sexual interaction with the opposite sex till marriage. This will ensure that further to marriage, they will be fully poised to develop healthy, strong, and spiritual connections with each other, which will in turn produce talented and virtuous offspring.
Yep.
After parenting children, the couple can easily revert to their earlier mode of celibacy, and thereby succeed in attaining spectacular success in both the materialistic